Yo, what's up, family? It's your boy, Pastor Ramon, aka Pastor Ray, and welcome to the Well Encounter Live. This is Thursday, May the 18th, 2023, and we are live. It's your boy, Pastor Ramon, aka Pastor Ray, and I'm so glad to be with you. Listen, I'm super excited about tonight. I think I'm always excited. I think every week I just get more excited about the encounter we have. But tonight, I'm looking forward to it because, listen, get ready to have a lot of fun with this conversation that we're having tonight. We're in our May series, Summer Relationships and Love. And tonight, our title is Mingling Christians. That's right. We're talking about dating. And I am super excited about it. We have an amazing panel that's going to come up with you guys in just a few moments. Shout out to all of our squad tonight. Listen, if you're watching and you're with us, go ahead and like this post. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, why don't you leave a comment? Let us know that you're with us. If you're on Facebook, comment, let us know you're with us. And then share this to whoever you can. Like, just, hey, look, they're talking about dating. Peep this. Text message, email, whatever you do, DM somebody like, hey, you need to tune into this, all right? We love to just have a conversation. Anyway, if you're with us and you're one of our Wellians, shout out to all of our Wellians who are already on with us. If you're not, listen, I want to just give a little bit of an intro of who we are. We are the Well, and we have a motto here at the Well. What is our motto? Our motto is encounter the well, become the well, emerge and share the well. We want you to encounter us, become more of who you are supposed to be, emerge and share that energy into the world. That's synonymous with like encounter Jesus, become more like Jesus, emerge and share Jesus. Encounter love, become love, emerge and share love. Whatever positive word you could put there, put it there, and it'll finish off that sentence. Now listen, as you do that, there is a path that we want to put you on. And that path is a path that we call the path of 5 Ps. What are those 5 Ps? We want everything we do to lead you down a path to your passion, your purpose, your promise in life, God's peace, and your power. Everything should lead you down one of those P's, if not all of those P's, or at least a good bit of those P's. All right. Listen, again, I will pause throughout the night just to say, hey, make sure you're following us on all of our places that you can follow us. All right. Everything is Encounter the Well. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that stuff, you can follow us at Encounter the Well. Like it on Facebook. Follow us on all of them. Subscribe to the YouTube. All right. Again, we welcome you tonight. We're in our Summer Relationships and Love series, and tonight, Mingling Christians. And without further ado, I'd like to just bring in our panel of our panelists for this evening. Listen to all these beautiful people on with us tonight. I'm enjoying it. All these amazing faces that are with us. Listen, Brennan B is back with this, so I'm going to give a quick moment to him to just let people know what's up with him, and then we'll share everybody else. Oh, we can't hear you, Brennan B.
Yo, it's the beautiful thing about technology, especially when you know how to use it, that you always use it wrong. I'm usually in the background. I'm always in the background now since we switched to platforms, but I'm always here. I just might not always be, on the camera, but you know what it is. Black at it again, black at it to win. Happy to be here with the people about the, we're going to have a real good conversation tonight, a real good conversation, a real conversation. So I'm excited about it.
Absolutely. If you guys missed it, Brennan B was definitely in the comment section last week holding it down. So we appreciate that, man.
Supporting all the love from last week,
Man, it was amazing love on last week, brother. It was amazing love on last week. Listen, you guys don't get to see her as much, but that's because Debbie's out taking over the world in her film and her film career. She's doing amazing things. Debbie, why don't you share with people what you've been up to and just greet people for a couple of seconds?
Yes, so I'm Debbie Camper. I was one of the OG members of the Well way back when, pre-pandemic times. But I'm really glad to be back and sharing this time with everyone. As Ramon said, I've been doing more filmmaking, actually. It's like one of my passions, professional and personal passions. So I've been doing a lot of touring different film festivals last year and this year. I've been to 6 film festivals and it won awards. My film won awards at 3 of them. Actually, it's been done, very well. Other than that, working full time, being a part of church, feeling with family, friends, and supporting the well.
Listen, in case you guys don't know, I just want to, she's very, very modest, but you guys, Debbie's winning awards at almost every film festival that she's put her film in, which is super amazing. And when she gets that Oscar, I just want to make sure people remember, hey, Debbie was here on the well. Like, she started out with us, okay? So I just want to give that shout out right now. We knew her before then, all right? So I love that. Congratulations, Debbie, on everything, really. We're just so phenomenally proud of you and what you're doing. Black woman power out there, and it's amazing to see you winning. We celebrate that. And then we have 2 other panelists. We want to welcome back Reverend Tiffany Brooks, who has been with us before, but we are so honored that she's found time in her crazy schedule to be with us on tonight, because Tiffany be everywhere doing everything because she's so phenomenal. But Tiffany, why don't you take a few seconds and greet the folks?
Hey, everybody. My name is Reverend Tiffany Brooks. I'll be at home.
Whatever.
Yo, Ray, I was about to say, you gave her that like great energetic opening, and then she came on. What's good, y'all?
That's how people who know they're important. That's how people who know they're important come in. You know what I'm saying? You're like, yo, it's Tiffany, and she's like, yo, what's up, everybody?
Please, I'm excited to be back. It's always a good time to be here. I'm gonna go fix the lighting in here so I could be back and fully present. But I am excited to be here. I promise that is my excitement. Yay!
Love that. And listen, last but not least at all, I met this sister, May and Baby, about a year ago, and we've run into each other here and there. Her energy, I think it's unmatched. I had to have her on tonight because man, she just brings the energy with her everywhere she goes. It's an energy of love. It's an energy of light. It's just it just illuminates the whole place. She has a sparkle, and it's undeniable. The Reverend Jasmine Jones. So Jasmine, just go ahead and greet people and let them know a little bit about you.
Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine. Rev is just my title. Take it or leave it. I am. I don't know. I do a whole lot of things for a whole lot of different people. So at the base of that, I am AME ordained and serve as virtual minister in 2 AME congregations. And yeah, neither are where I actually live. So it's a great time all the time. Stay on the road. Not as much as Tiffany though, but I be on the road.
And Jasmine, we got to have you come back at some point because actually, and I should have thought about this at one of our prior wills, but for those of you all who know, we have that conversation about the way church and ministry is really shifting in this time. Jasmine's really doing some crazy stuff with, being planted in 2 different places, like she said, neither one of them being here in the DMV area. And so, man, definitely would love to talk about that at some point. But man, phenomenally educated folks on with us tonight. Super smart, super intelligent, super funny, super great. It's just blowing my mind how amazing y'all are. And I'm just ecstatic to have this group of people on. Man, we are talking about Mingling Christians, which is our title, which is a crazy title. We always like to throw crazy titles out there just to invite people to engage. But man, this has been really getting some good conversation online. We are talking about dating. And so just to start off with, you can share it with us. You don't have to share it with us. I feel like even if you didn't share it with us, it would come out at some point in the evening. But just to go around the room, is anyone single? How do I say this? I don't want to put you on the spot. So if you're single, let us know. Or if you're not single, let us know. We'll just put it like that. You don't have to give a term to whatever you're in because it might not be term worthy. But are you single or are you not single? That's the question.
Yo, a relationship not being term worthy is crazy.
You are single.
Listen, because I was definitely about to say when I filed my taxes last month, single it was.
Single
it was.
No term for it. You are single. Like, what are we saying here?
Yo, that's what, yeah. If you can't put no type of title, like even a situationship is better than like no title.
You are in a situationship.
Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, some people be dating and it's like we not a thing yet. We just going out. I mean, is that title worthy?
No.
No, you are single. And
You're
we
single.
are
Okay.
friends now.
If we just going out, I might just go out with somebody else. What you mean?
That's it right there. That's it right there.
Just going to get food. I might just go get food with somebody else. Like, I mean, what are we doing?
Okay.
That's why people are hemmed up now, Ray.
Listen, but that's this place. Okay, that's a perfect place to start, right? Like, let's go there. Let's talk about it. If you are going out with somebody, right, and we're talking about, like, especially from this faith-based outlook of things, like, is it okay to go out with more than one person? Is that cool?
Yes.
You mean like on separate? So you mean like on separate Jones, or you mean like a group go out?
No, Brittany.
Now you know.
Yeah, a lot of disclaimers here.
Okay, so you are allowed to go out with more than one person. You can
Yes.
get to know more than one person at a time.
Yes.
I think it's the most efficient use of my time.
Okay.
And that's just real, right? Like when I am openly and actively dating to get to know people, I am collecting data. My friends joke and laugh because they like, Jasmine will pull up in the city and have a date the next day. And she will. Like, it's that simple. Like, I mean, we're collecting data. I'm not playing it anywhere for real yet. I have a address here in the DMV. I got another one in Atlanta. Like, it just is what it is. And so until someone has decided that they want to talk exclusivity, I may or may not engage in that. It just depends on the reason and the season.
Yeah.
But until there's a ring on this here finger, your girl's single, because that's how Uncle Sam and the U.S. government see it.
Okay.
But I feel like men get to collect data all the time. So why can't I collect data?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we can just put that on men, because listen, lately the ladies been feeling and I 100% love it.
But you said it well. You said lately.
Lately.
Yes, you said lately. Yes. And so lately. I appreciate how women are coming into their own and being open about it. Okay?
Right.
Because I'm collecting data. Listen, I went to a Research One institution. It's all about the qualitative and the quantitative data. I need to know.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so okay. But I feel like just not only from like the whole like you're a woman and there's a standard or double standard, but like also like a lot of us, right, are doing something in ministry. And I think like that's kind of shifting, right? Because at one point you weren't gonna be seen out too much at all if you was in formal ministry. I mean, that's shifting though. Like is that do you still carry that weight? Like, all right, I'm in ministry. Let me not go to a restaurant with this person at this. Let me not show up at a bar, right? Like, what's the dynamics there?
So for me, it's not so much about where I go; it's about what I post. And that's just my personal like boundary, right? Like, it's not about where I go; it's what I post. And so for me, I keep saying it's private until it's permanent. Because there is a double standard in dating for women, and then especially for women in ministry. And so being in front of people as a woman in ministry, she's still single. Well, yeah. But then if I come through here in 5 years with 2 different dudes, y'all got questions. And that's unfair. Whereas my male counterparts can go on dates, bring them to the church, and post them for years.
Yeah.
And then go marry somebody else 2 weeks later. And they be like, oh, he found the one. Now, wait a minute.
I've seen it done so many times.
I've seen it done several times.
So many times. It's really bad.
So, for me, it's what I post. So, like, I've been in relationships that have not seen the light of day on social media.
Yeah.
Like for 2 years, I was in a relationship that did not see the light of day on social media, but it wasn't a secret. Because if you
Is it
knew
a
me,
real relationship though? If it don't make social media,
yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is. It's probably a healthier one too.
Better if it's
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
It's probably a healthier one too. But like people who knew me knew. Like Tiffany knew. Like it just was what it was. If you knew me, you knew.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, it wasn't your business.
Yeah. But now that's interesting too, though, because now listen, y'all. For those who are engaging with us, I just want you to know every now and then I play devil's advocate. We are open to disagreeing on the well. So please feel free to push back. But I might say some stuff that sounds a little sensitive. I just like to get the reaction sometimes. But now, with that warning, had to get the warning out there. With that warning, I do want to say this. I feel like it seems like there's more pressure sometimes from the woman's side to claim a status than it is from the male side to claim a status. And especially when it comes to social media. Like it seems like I've seen or heard a lot more arguments about no, like, you know, what you want other, you know, like you want other people to date you, you want other people to think you single, but you don't want to claim this right here. You don't want people to know you with this goodness and this is, you know, blah, 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 blah. Okay, why you not posting? Where it seems like on the male side, it's always like, yo, chill. Like, you know, does it have to be? Like, do we have to claim? What do y'all feel about that, though?
I think that that is what social media portrays. But I also think that comes from a place of your personal experience. So for me, I don't care if you post me, but we not getting at the altar next week and don't nobody know. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you just gotta be like, now wait a minute, right? But no, like you don't need to post me all the time. But that's for me, right? That's how I am structured. Because I have friends who are in ministry who want to be posted on that man page. And girl, go ahead, let that man post you.
I think what it is, Ray, to be quite honest with you, like getting down to the nitty-gritty of it, there are a lot of men who walk around very confused and conflicted. And unfortunately, there are a lot of women who have engaged with men who cannot make a decision. And so a lot of women seek ways of validation, right? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And when you're getting the runaround, I don't know, we're hitting it, right? Like, it's easy to be like, oh, chill, it's not that big a deal. And then it's like, no, it is, because at this point, you are wasting my time. And then next thing you know it, in a blink of an eye, and many women have experienced this, a blink of an eye, all of a sudden, oh, this is the love of my life. Some woman from somewhere, you never heard of her, you never seen her, you never met her, you did. This is the love of my life. Oh my God, I love her. She's the one for me. We're getting married, engaged, whatever. And you got old girl on the other side, like, why couldn't you have just, because you were still figuring out, so you left us in tandem? And so when, you know, Brandon said lately women have, it's because that is partially why. It's like, while y'all are out here, and then there are a lot of men who are just not honest because they think it's going to hurt our feelings. Baby love, tell me what it is, and I'm going to move on. And in some circumstances that I have experienced, when I'm okay with it, it's like it's the end of the world for him. I'm like, wait, okay, have fun. What do you mean have fun? Wait, right. You said that's what you want to do. And I said, okay. So like what's going on? Right. Yeah. So I think there's been just a lot of, if we're being honest, people are not sure and are not clear and have not been being honest, and not just from a man's side, but also from a woman's side, right? Like we have to get to the place where we are able to be honest. If someone says, I don't know, that ain't it. I'm confused. That ain't it.
Yeah.
You single, we both single until we both figure this thing out and can be clear and concise on what it is that we're doing. But a lot of women have experienced a lot of confused men who at the end of the day just be popping up with some shorty that you and now heartbroken here and there. So I think to your point, it's just, yeah, it seems like on the women's, and that's what social media portrays, right? That is just women. It's not just women, right? It's just that this culture of social media will portray that women are more active on social media. And so there's a lot more things that we portray, but there are some men that have experienced confused and conflicted women as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely now one thing I will say, I think we find like a lot of relationships. I don't think people have dealt with themselves. You know what I mean? I think they don't bring them healthy selves to us. You know, like, and I think that's something that people have to. I think people need to look to Jasmine's point when she said, "I'm getting to know right people." I think one of the things that people need to decipher is how healthy is this person? How healthy am I? And how healthy is this person? I don't think we look for that, right? Like, how healthy is this person? How have we, what are the questions around mental health? I don't know if anybody ever goes on a date and says, like, hey, how do you feel? You know, how is your well-being? Right? How are you mentally, physically, and with all the, like, is that a date question? Can you ask that question?
It is, and I do.
Okay.
It is, and I do. So to your point though, right? Like earlier today, I was talking to my mom, and she be on the social, so she was like, "Isn't that a red flag for you?" And I was like, "Now, girl, when you started using this language, let's talk about this." And I was like, you know what? We're so quick to deem a action or a behavior as a red flag that we don't ever ask the why. Right? Especially in dating. We don't ask people why they did what they did. We just look at what they did and be like, oh no, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. Me, I'm a little different. My friends and my mama, they all look at me crazy because I will get to know a person and literally ask why. Like, and not in an interrogative sort of way, but I want to understand how you process things and how you see the world. I had a first date recently where this man asked me if I was seeing a therapist. And baby, I said, now wait a minute, what? I was going to ask you that in 20 minutes. Hold on. Wait a minute, right? Like, I was going to ask the question, but it opened up, right, a very different sort of energy at the table. It allowed for both of us to be a little vulnerable, not too much, but like a little vulnerable and talk about like where we are with our mental health and with traumas and whatever we're dealing with, to really see if this is a possibility. And I enjoy asking those questions up front because it saves me a lot of time in data collection. Yeah. A lot of time.
Yeah. Debbie, do you ask those same? Do you sort of ask those questions when you find yourself dating?
I don't know if I ask that specific question. I think that I will say I'm really observant. We start to get some of those initial questions out, and then honestly, people start revealing themselves after a few dates. They really do start to they start to kind of peel back the layers, and you do start getting a good sense of someone and who they are. And some conversations just kind of come up naturally, so it's not crazy awkward. But that's honestly when I start to really see people. Is like they'll bring something up, or they'll say something. Let's say like about a TV show, and you're like, oh, that's an interesting comment they made about that TV show. That opens the door for another conversation. Like if someone's talking about different types of relationships or talking about their history, like it just starts to kind of unfold naturally. So I really do feel like you get a good sense of someone. Like the more you talk to someone, the more you really start getting a sense of that person, and those things just kind of start to, I don't want to say unravel, but like people put their their best foot forward, of course. But then as time goes on, you do start to see like the other layers of someone. They're not so polished. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I think like it's so funny you guys are talking about red flags. Why do you think people don't pay attention to the red flags? Just for the people who watch it who might not know what red flags are. Can we first, is there anybody who'd like to define what a red flag is? And then maybe share why you think people don't pay attention to red flags.
When I think of red flags, I think of like, I'm an imagery person, so I think about like a game or something when a flag on the play. We got to pause this real quick. So for me, a red flag is something that is a pause for question. Like, wait,
Like a warning.
like a warning. Yep.
Yeah.
A red flag is a warning sign, right? And I think people ignore it. So we talked about trauma and things like that. Some people don't recognize red flags when they are approaching. Some people have different ideas of what a red flag is. And then if we're quite honest, if you think the person is cute enough and you like them enough and y'all having a good time enough, what's a red flag? Oh, it's not that bad. Like we'll try to find ways to justify it rather than making very good judgment calls on what it is that we're seeing, right? When I see a red flag, I don't immediately jump ship. I take note. And if I see it again, then it's like, ooh, this is something that's you. And depending on the full data collection using Reverend Jazz's terminology, I will determine whether or not I want to uncover the root of it, or if it's not something that Tiffany Brooks is able to help navigate, right? And I think we have to be mature enough to make those decisions for ourselves, right? Like if I see the red flag, okay, wow, people are not perfect, things happen. Saw the red flag again. At that point, is this something that I know that I'm willing to be patient with, dive deeper into, or is this something that I simply cannot engage with anymore? Because for me, either I don't have the tools, the resources, or I'm not comfortable enough to do it. And so that's what helps me make determinations about red flags. But when I think of red flags, it's a flag on the play. Like pause. Well,
Yeah.
note, got that here, mental note. And then if it comes up again, paying attention to, like Debbie said, observing, paying attention to what's the trigger for it, why and what, and then thinking about me as a human and how can that impact me as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, man, I'm back on, so you know we're gonna get our weekly J. Cole quote, you know, Cole World. No
Come on
sluggies.
with it, brother. Come on with it.
You know, I mean, like, fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. Like it ain't it like if I see it, I'm gonna let it ride the first time or whatever. I may mention it like, oh, that's interesting or something like that. But then you know, if it continues to happen, like then we got to have a conversation, and that conversation might lead to us not, you know, chasing this romantic relationship. We might just need to be cool, or it might just be like, nah, I'm gonna let you rock. But definitely, like, you know, if you cute enough, like all red flags will be ignored. Like we can just all be real about that. If shorty fly, or you know, homie is, you know what I mean? Like it ain't you ain't gonna see no red flags. It just is what it is. You're gonna be Google-eyed, and then you know you're gonna be 6 months into a situationship and then wondering why ain't nothing move. Like
point though, Brennan, I think you see from the lens of where you are health-wise. Because
right.
I'm at that place where like I don't have time to not see the red flags.
Right.
Because now I'm at that place where if the red flag is red flagging, more than likely I don't like this. And no one is enough in this world. No one is fun enough in this world for me to hang around in a situation that I know is going to be bad. Like it's to the point where now within like 10 to 15 minutes of conversation, I'm like, we're good. One guy sent me a text message a month ago from that one text message that he sent, and we had gone out a few times. He was talking, he sent me one text message. There was nothing to ask a question about. I saw everything I needed to. You know what? Bless your life. Wow. Oh my God. Someone somewhere. You are for, but for Tiffany Brooks, you are not. Yeah. And when he asked the question, I tried to explain it, and when I realized he just was asking just to pretend like he cared and wasn't really trying to process, I was like, wow, thank you so much. And then he got weird. Like I was talking about earlier, why are you doing this, Tiff? Like, was it? Huh?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long time. My husband could be waiting for me, and I'm spending 6 months with somebody that's confused. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
No
yeah,
more.
But that's real, Tiff. That's real, right? Like, for me, people have sent some things and said some things, and I was like, oh, absolutely not. This is over right here, right now. Like, it's just the end of it. And then there are times when people send things and say things, and I'm like, okay, let's investigate this a little bit, right? For example,
Oh, nah, she busting out the examples.
Yeah, no. But no, right? Like, for example, like, I'm 35, no kids, never married. I ain't got time, right? And Tiff was honest, like, at certain stages in your life. I told a dude, I said, baby, if I was 25 and not 35, I definitely would have wasted a year on you. At 35, I ain't got it. I ain't got the year. I'm sorry. And sugar, it was fun. It was real. But I'm in a season where my response is, I respect your decision. And I pray you find what you seek. Because beyond that, I ain't got it.
And that's true.
Hold on, I got a quick question. I got a quick question for the ladies. So is this a red flag text? Like if like homie or shorty, whatever your flavor is, like if they ask you for a pic, if they be like, send me a pic.
So for me, no, but a lot of my friends, yes. For me, no.
Yeah, I've heard that's a red flag. Yeah.
see, I'm always ask the question: a picture of what?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
But I think you know what it is.
I
think it's weird and random. It depends on the nature of the relationship, really, honestly, truly. But it's like, what a picture. What are we like? Is this now for me? I'm saying, is this like my show me her picture? Because that's what I have Instagram for.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I told a dude, he was like, can I get a picture for your contact? I said, there were several on the website that we met through.
Yeah.
You can pick one of those, screenshot and save it.
But I also have an iPhone, so I got my picture set for everyone. You just accept name and photo.
Yeah, but now, listen. Here's the other thing. Now, I will admit, I don't really. I mean, here's the thing. In this day and time, you can look up anybody's real name anyway. But now, I don't share. Like when I first meet you, depending on how we met, I won't share my social media because I really don't want you to turn into a stalker. I just don't. Listen, I know this sounds crazy, but I got them. I'll be very honest. I got them. I'll be very clear. I got them. And so
listen, Ray be causing hate when he don't even be knowing.
I believe you, friend. You know what? Because Ray got them locks. Okay, his skin clean.
Listen,
I believe you, friend.
I'm trying to tell you, like I get DMs, and this is probably why I stopped posting pictures sometimes on some of my social media, because I can post stories and it's cool. But now if I post a picture, a lot of times, and I don't like. I mean, none of us like to post just any old picture. I think we're all to the point in our social media place. We're not just gonna post any old thing. So if I post something, right, all of a sudden the DMs go crazy, and I'd be like, all right, well, I don't like to share on my social media right up front because a lot of times people will get real stalkerish on you. And I just can't take that, y'all. Like, I just I mean, blocking is easy, but I also don't want to have to go that route. You know what I'm saying? When people start like, hey, like, why you ain't call me back? And listen, I'm very honest. One of my last girlfriends, I was very clear. The first day that we decided to talk, I said, listen, this is the true story. I said, I'm a busy person. And I'm not trying to use that as an excuse not to talk. I know some people use that, but literally, I'm busy. And so I like to let people know up front, look, this is the situation. I'm in a lot of different things. And right now in my life, I'm focused on trying to really do what I really want to do and love to do. It doesn't mean that I can't make time to be with you. It just means that this is what I am focused on right now. I'm very upfront about that. So when you text me the day after, because you text me at 12 midnight and I didn't text you back at 12:30, like, where are you at? Why didn't you respond? Oh, you ignore me already? What do you mean? Like, we just Like I just, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even like to go down that road.
She needed Dasani.
I'm
She needed
asleep.
Dasani
What you
or
There you go.
she's real thirsty. She needs some. She's parched.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What's the healthy balance of communication that you expect when you're beginning to talk to somebody or date somebody? What's a healthy expected level of communication?
So
I don't think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Debbie. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't. So I think you should give someone a few. I think we all are busy. Everyone has a life. If it's school, if it's work, if it's job, it's community. Like I think that you gotta give people just a few hours, I would think, to respond within that day. Definitely get back to someone. I don't think like 3 days later. I don't think that's appropriate. That person's not interested. If it takes them 3 days to get back to you, like they're not that busy. So I would say definitely like somewhere in that day. And if you understand someone's schedule, work schedule, if they have a night job, a day job, or whatever, like just give it a little bit of space in there. But I wouldn't say like half an hour later, oh, they don't like me, they didn't get back to me. Definitely just like a little bit of space, because you would want that space, right? If you yourself were busy, you wouldn't want someone to text you incessantly and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm working, of course I can't get back to you. Like just give each other enough space to just like, okay, I'm done taking a break, I can respond back to you. But like I said, 3 days, like that person's not interested, leave them alone.
Well, hold on, Debbie. I can't do that because like when I was in these streets, like I made a mistake a couple of times, and you know I muted the wrong conversation, and so like it was like. And so, like, you know, the lady I was dating, like, or not dating, we was just, you know, chatting it up. And I just realized, like, 5 days later, I was like, dang, I ain't heard from her in a minute. And then looked back, and it was like a solid 3 messages where she had reached out. And I was like, oh, this is probably body.
And depending on how healthy she is, will determine how she processed it. For me, Ray, it's a natural cadence. I'm not pressed. If you don't get back to me in 3 to 4 days, I'm not tripping. If you get back to me tomorrow, cool. If you get back to me immediately, cool. Understanding that life be lifing. And if we're going to say that people are busy, we need to have the expectation that sometimes, first of all, if I'm not your girlfriend or your wife, you're not my man or my husband, you're not about to clock when I text you back and when I don't, when I call you.
I'm not required to respond to your message.
Like there's no, like we're not required to do this. Like if the conversation is flowing and it's good, we're going to continue to talk how we will talk throughout the day. If time makes it, like, hey, you free to talk? It like really takes nothing to be clear and communicate. Hey, you got time? I want to talk to you. Not like we have so many modes of communication. My friends will send me a voice note on Instagram and simultaneously send me a text message to my phone, and they will put a comment on a Facebook status. Okay, there are so many rules to communicate. Like, I just think that we have gotten so nitpicky. Oh, he didn't respond. He or she didn't respond within a day. And so what if they told you they got in a car accident? Then what happens? Right. Now you sound crazy. Like, at least give people time. Like, you know, it's like we make so many assumptions. Like, so for me, the question is, I'm not pressed. There's no appropriate. Now, are there boundaries to communication? Yes, that's a different question, right? But in terms of like the cadence, please, if you don't talk to me for a week, guess who is not dying or losing sleep? Okay. Like have whatever. Okay. Hey.
I ain't gonna lie though. Like I'm pretty, you know, I consider myself a healthy person in relationship, and I'm trying to do better, and be better. But like if I send that I love you text and it'd be like 4 days later. Oh yeah. If I send that I love you text and it's 4 days later, like I'm like, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah,
I think she muted the wrong conversation, maybe.
That don't belong in no text message.
I used Grammarly. I meant it was different letters. My fingers.
Right.
That's the first time saying it.
That's what I was about to say, Tiffany. Go ahead.
If it's the first time saying it, then no.
Don't do it in a text, my guy.
Don't text me. Weird. Like you what's going on? But I mean, like if it's the first time you're saying that to the person, now we focusing on Brennan so we can help us out. If that's the first time,
I promise you, I'm good. I'm healthier than when I was back then.
Anybody else in the world who has done this, listen, or is thinking about doing it, we are stopping you right now. I love you is a very serious phrase. Please call that person. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do not put that in a text message, okay?
No.
You might get left on red for 4 to 5 days, okay?
Yeah, no, that's
crazy.
But if you've been together for a while, though,
Yeah.
and you text "I love you," which is fine, and you don't get a response, you gotta pull up on that one. For a little while, like it's y'all talking about we about to get engaged and married, and you text it and they not getting back to you in 4 to 5 days. You got some questions.
Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
If you text "I love you" and you don't get a text back, like, and it takes a moment, you might as well go ahead and like raise the white flag. It's like it's over. Like it's
just
not
hit
even
him with I respect your decision.
Right.
Listen.
May life treat you well.
Right. Now, okay, now I have a question because we're talking about communicating specifically via text. Is reacting for iPhone users, is reacting to a text a response?
Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
Yeah, it's one part of
because somebody had an issue with the fact that I reacted to something and didn't type out something, and I was like, I didn't feel like it called for all that, right? Like,
yeah, that's a
response.
So here's what I'm gonna say though. I have an answer for that, but it's a little deep. So I think because we have become such a tech savvy generation, I think when we talk about setting like standards, boundaries, all that stuff in the beginning, honestly, I think that has become one of those things that just might be one of those things you have to talk about in the very beginning, because I think people have different expectations around communication, even when it comes to text. I mean, for me, it very much, if you like something, I bet, like you said your piece, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it doesn't require a whole paragraph or a sentence of a response, like, yeah, okay, I got you. You got me, I got you, we're good. But there are people, you are absolutely right, they get really emotional. Like, you put a thumbs up. That's like saying you don't care, whatever. Well, I don't care.
She's not healthy.
Like,
they're not healthy. They gotta fix it.
Into everything.
Because it's like, I mean, like for me, it's like, even and I'm proud Android user. But like, you know, if I react to a message or something like that, and like, you know, if I can put a laughing emoji versus typing out LOL or rolling on the floor laughing or laughing my ass off, like what's the difference? Like versus the text versus just reacting in that same way. It's probably easier for me to react because I'm laughing at the moment, you know.
but there are people, to Jasmine's point, there are people that get really offended by just pressing that little whatever and not typing out whatever. Like, there are people that get really offended by that.
Listen,
I think Jasmine is giving us the response in those situations. You know, I respect your decision.
Last time somebody brought that up to me, I sent them an emoji. I was like, I don't have any words for it, and I'm not gonna make nothing up.
Yo,
so Tiffany she got a strong petty bone. She got a strong petty bone,
and she does.
Because I think there's so many things that we have made more serious than they have to be. Things be so minuscule. Like, you didn't ask me anything that required a full, complete response. You didn't say anything. Now, if you said, hey, how do you like this restaurant? I'm going to like it or love it and be like, you know, I would prefer X, Y, and Z. But if you're just confirming something, okay, the if we've discussed something and it's like, oh, the reservation, I'm just confirming the reservation at 8:15 and I like it, that means I saw it, I got it. I'll meet you there. What is the we didn't talked about 1,500 times. I know I did because you told me you wanted to go out to eat. I didn't look at the menu already. And so I am confirming that this is what we're doing. I told you what I saw on the menu because I know me. Well, wow. Okay. This menu is legit. We're excited to go. We have confirmed plans because I am a phone girl when it comes to plans and stuff. And you just confirming anything. But why are you getting mad? Because I like that you confirmed that we're going to meet up at 8:15 after we discussed that we was going to meet at 8:15.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the big deal? Like, I think dating has become challenging because we have made it so challenging. We have made it challenging. Understanding too that people have had experiences that causes them to react in very specific ways, right? So we have to draw back to understand too that some people's responses are based on many different things, but then that goes back to what I said earlier. Understanding ourselves and knowing ourselves and piggybacking up of Jazz, you got to know yourself and you have to be honest. Like, if this is something that's a big deal to this person, is it worth uncovering why it's a big deal? Or is that something that you don't have the capacity to uncover? And you have to be honest about yourself and you have to know yourself. So for me, somebody asking me, why you just telling me, oh, you just gonna like it? For me, that ain't something I got the capacity to deal with. Oh, this is what you mad over? So what else you gonna get irritated about?
Yeah. Red flag.
Red flag. And I gotta determine if I got the capacity for that, uncovering the root of that red flag and whether or not we're gonna rock out with it or not.
Now, Tiffany,
I think that's the second part of it is like, are we at the point in our relationship where I really care? Like where I care whether or not your reaction to my mode of communication matters. Because like if we 2 weeks in and I send that emoji back and you feeling away, it's like I'm cool on you. Like, but if it's like we've been chatting for like 6 months and you take something the wrong way and I want to make sure I communicate effectively, it's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. I apologize. And then we can have a conversation about it. And I can explain what I meant by the emoji or what I meant by the reaction. And we can have that dialogue. But like, if we fresh in it, like, and you respond like that, it's more of a red flag than anything.
And it depends on you. Like I said, some people will be like, oh, I apologize. How would you prefer for me to respond? And then there's some like me that might send an emoji or it's just like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Why is it a bigger deal to you? And then from that point on, I determine whether or not it needs to be a deal between us or I'm just like, I can't do this.
I'm gonna move to this next question, but I do want to say somebody got mad at me one time because I was now y'all might fall in this category. They got mad at me for abbreviating my my greetings. So good morning was GM, and they were like, Jasmine put it. They were like, but see, this person didn't know what I did. Didn't know. She didn't know if I how she didn't know if I was educated, if I was some street dude, none of that. So she's like, hey, like, if you don't know how to greet with like good morning, like that's a text, not a GM. You should know how to say good morning. I was like, it's not that deep. And they're like, no, it's definitely that deep. Like that's just communication in English, proper English. And I'm like, yeah, that was my red flag. And
I don't communicate in proper English with people I'm comfortable with.
I respect your decision. I respect your decision.
I respectfully disagree.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes I don't even say good morning. I just continue with the conversation we had the day before, child.
That part. No, legitimately though. Like I literally will pick up. Like there's no greeting. We just gonna keep rolling.
You know I mean good morning. The fact that I answered this text message at 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, but I will say this. That is very much a context thing. Because when I moved down south for grad school, like even my friends who would text me be like, good morning, da 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 da. I would just respond to what they said. And they were like, Jasmine, you didn't say good morning. I was answering your question. So it's very much a context thing.
It depends on the person, definitely.
It depends. Like, and so now they know, like, okay, whatever. But for a while, I literally would like backtrack or double text, answer the question and be like, oh, my bad. Good morning. How are you? Like, come on now. I'm answering your question. Let's just keep going. No love lost.
Yeah.
But it's very much a context thing. And it's
that's definitely like a northerner or eastern, like East Coast person versus down south, because it's like the communication styles and stuff like that is different. Like, you know, I'm from New York, and so we, you know, how we communicate is a lot different than people do down south. And I've gotten into some, you know, just like normal vernacular I would use up like at home, and then people like got offended by it, even, you know, and it's like, no, that ain't even really like,
that's not how I meant it.
Cool.
And see, I'm from Queens. I grew up in Queens. So once I came down this way, I realized, I was like, wow. I think North End, it's like you have to really get to know people, because I think people have often said that New Yorkers are not nice people. And I'm like, it's not that we're not nice. I just think that we say what's here, and a lot of people are not accustomed to or used to that, especially within dating. Like, I remember one guy was like, wow, you actually said that. Yes.
What was I
I don't want you to be guessing. I don't want you to be guessing. And I don't want to be pained in my spirit, because I'm holding this in and this is how I really feel. You got to know. Now, how you process it, I don't know, but
yeah.
So you know, it's a context. And then if you're Caribbean, so like my family is Caribbean too. So like I think I got a double whammy.
Different.
You do have a double whammy.
Don't be general. What part of the Caribbean, my friend?
Yes, Jamaican.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jamaican that grew up in New York. So my time is always interesting. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, listen, I want to push this a little bit. I've been engaging people on our social media, and I've asked a couple of questions. So I'd love to get, I want to share some of the responses, and then sort of just get you all to kind of weigh in on this. All right. So first question that we asked was, should couples live together before they're married? Now, I want to share with you that there were three choices. All right. Multi-choice here. The first one being, yes, you better test it out. 2, not at all, because it's totally immoral. And 3, maybe it depends on the situation. Now, should couples live together before marriage? The biggest answer in response to, we got 68% of the people said maybe, it depends on the situation. Followed by, yes, you better test it out before you get married. And only 7% said not at all, totally immoral. What do you all think about this whole should couples live together before they get married, and the response that we got?
Well, as a married individual, that 100% lived with my wife before, you know, yes. Like, yes. And I say that just because, but I can understand the maybe, and it's definitely like a context thing. But I say yes because it helped us to, one, see some of our differences. Like, you know, I'm a warm-natured person, and, you know, down south they like to think that a fan can cool down a hot room, and I just don't believe blowing around hot air will do anything to my body when I'm hot. So it's like, you know, I need AC. And so like things like that, like house temperatures, and those are things that could literally cause big issues if you don't have those you know, conversations and experiences ahead of time. I think that there's a lot of experiences that can help you to understand if this person is really going to be your life person and your life partner, that you can kind of experience through living together. Now that ain't for everybody, and I grew up kind of in a church context where it was like dating wasn't even for real. Like they didn't even, like, it was like, no, if you like them, you get married. And I don't necessarily agree with that. But like I do encourage people, even if it's like, you know, just come over for the week, and you know, you stay for the week or something, or you stay for a month, and you know, you bring a bag or something. But just having those types of experiences where, y'all in the same space, you share in the same space, and you go through kind of those learning processes together.
Man, I think our old Christians are watching right now talking about, he talking about shacking up.
100%.
Because
that's what they saying.
That's what they saying.
Right.
That's what they saying.
All that temptation.
Yeah, but I think when I looked at the poll, I was torn on what to answer. But I think that we've decided that, for me, context matters. The why matters, period, right? And so I did answer maybe. It depends. For me, 75% of my adult relationships have been long-distance relationships. So traveling with that person or traveling to that person gives a different context, right? Like being together for a week in the same space, right? Sharing a bathroom and a kitchen, because those be my pain points. Like, what are you doing in this bathroom? And why are you squeezing the toothpaste from the middle? Let's talk about it. Right? But
Raise
listen,
That's the thing.
Raise this person.
Okay.
Listen, it's a thing.
Okay. We'll
So-
talk.
That's another show, Ray.
Right. Yeah. I got
That is. It's a whole
But, like-
nother show. And I as a man, I went through that. I went through them struggles of having to adjust because I was like, fam, it don't matter to me. But but I learned and I felt like my wife was important enough to make that adjustment.
Brennan is married, so he's
So no, I think that it really does depend. Because the truth of the matter is, for me, in long distance relationships, when we got to a point of talking about marriage and relocation and things of that nature, it made sense financially for us to move in together if that's what we were going to do. There's no point in us leaving two separate set of bills to come to the same city and still have two separate set of bills. Make it make sense. And I think that in today's expressions of Christianity, that we are more open to understanding that life happens on a spectrum.
Yeah.
It is not either or. A lot of times it's both and. And in this economy, with this inflation, we're gonna have to figure this out. Listen, rent prices, because when I came back from Atlanta, I definitely came home like, yeah, I'm gonna need that room back. Thanks, sis. Because who is paying $1,600 for a studio? Who? Like, I can't do it. I can't. I got better uses of $1,600. And like someone who I was dating, and we hadn't quite decided on exclusivity at that point, said to me, I feel like you should really move out. I said, I feel like you should really mind your wallet. Right? Because you can't tell me that I should move out my mama's house when this is not affecting you.
Nah, he's trying to come through and chill.
Yeah, but you have your own spot, sir. So if that's what you wanted, you could have sent an invite. And that's just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way, my friend.
100%.
Anybody else want to answer that question before we go to the next one?
I mean, I think I like Jasmine's kind of like and or both or kind of the thing. What I'm probably going to say to that is you definitely need to spend a lot of time with someone that you're dating. And I think you definitely, if you decide, whichever way you're thinking, definitely spend some time in that space. Or just spend some time in your space and somewhere together in a home-like space. So you do discover a lot about a person's habits, their living habits, their cleanliness, their behaviors, a lot when you're around them. And I can definitely share, I'm not gonna say who this person is. So someone older than me was sharing a story, like before they got married to this person, or like when they moved to this person, they did not live with them beforehand. Like they were not the cleanest person in the world. Just like bathroom stuff or like kitchen stuff. Like there was a little extra critters in the kitchen, and this person was like, "Listen, we gotta clean this up, okay?"
Nah, I ain't cleaning up no critters.
Sorry, no.
They were like, "Let's get rid of this. Clean up the kitchen. Put the dishes away out. The sink,
Critters
like,
is
and
the
they were
reddest of
gone.
flags.
Exactly. Like after a few months, like they were gone, but it was like that's the stuff that you don't know. So like spend some time with that person, get an idea of their habits. Like even if you're, not really keen on living with someone, at least be around in their space for a while and start picking up on those things. Because it's gonna matter when you do decide to be with them and married to them, or however you want to sort out the situation.
So I'm gonna go a little crass, and for all the people who watch it who know me, and I'm gonna try to make sure I'm gonna try to be as clean as I can about this. But like, I think I've gotten to the place where I tell people when we start, if you start dating somebody, like, I think as you get older, like your tolerance of BS really quickly starts to evaporate. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, okay, look, I ain't got time to be slowballing this. Let me know. Like, let's just talk about who we are. Let's really be upfront. And I tell people, look, if you're gonna marry somebody, in my opinion, I want to know what your breath smell like when you wake up. I just do. I want to know what I want to know how.
Don't nobody breath smell good when they wake up, bro.
I no, but here's what I'm saying. Some people are really, really bad, man. Some people you can wake up next to and it's like, all right, like go ahead and brush your teeth. Some people you wake up to and it's like you're melting. You know what I'm saying? And I want to know which one are you before we go that deep. Which one are you? And I think that's important. I think it's important to know how high do you let the dirty clothes like pile up before So I think all that stuff is just important to know. So I guess I'm just saying, like, and I think the time you put into something really does mean something. So I don't think you should just move in with somebody like off the cusp, like, okay, we've been dating for like 6 months, all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, like this is the one for me. I tell people, take your time, like do put in the time. But as you put in the time, spend as much time with that person in their environment, as you possibly can. And that don't mean you got to go have sex with them either, or not have sex. I'm just saying, spend some time in their environment to figure out what it's like after you get to know them a little bit, and then make a decent decision. All right. So we also asked another question here. I'm gonna go to this one first. So, can you date a person with kids? All right. And all right, here are the answers. So the variable answers were yes, I'm open to it. No way under the heavens, and every situation is different. All right. Nobody actually said no way under the heavens. I think some people are lying or they just didn't answer, because I know people who are definitely not dating with kids. But the two answers, 40%, every situation is different. And actually 60% of people said, yes, I'm open to it. That's very interesting. How y'all feeling about dating with kids and with a person with kids, and what people said?
Well, I don't think that result is interesting. I think it just depends on the age demographic that's answering the question. 30s and above, we're expecting people to potentially have children. It just is what it is, right? Like it is, like it's very rare. Like the amount of people I've met that have found out that I'm not a parent are very shocked. They're like, "Oh my god, you don't have any kids? Oh my god, no, I don't."
Yeah.
I like my time and my space, so I don't do things that would make me have children because I love my time and my space. But what I will say is every circumstance is different. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm gonna stick to what I've been saying. You gotta know you. I have dated men with children before, and honestly, the way that they treat their children, the way that they talk about the mother of their children tells me all I need to know. Mm-hmm. Have I ever had to not talk to a man or date a man anymore because of the children? No, thank God. But have I stopped talking to a man because of how he treats the mother of his children? Absolutely. But every circumstance is different, right? And I think it's important to take that into account. But again, it's back to when you in your 30s and up, sometimes it just comes with the territory, right? Like it is what it is. Now, ask me this when I was 25, absolutely not and no. But now that I'm in my 30s, it's like, sure, like I have no problem with it. But again, it's the circumstance and the situation. That's why I don't find the data weird at all, especially depending on who's answered and responded to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If the person has like one child that's like 4, and I'm gonna be straight up 100, one child that's like 4, and that's one mom, and then he's on his Nick Cannon, then I'm okay. The next child 3, somebody else, and then the next one a newborn. Why are you looking at me? Am I the next? Are you looking at me to say? And then for me, it's like if I'm gonna engage myself in that situation, I know what I'm getting, and I gotta know my boundaries. But for me, as soon as I smell a whiff of Nick Cannon, you know what? Thank you so much. Tell us again. What is it? If that's what you chose to do, what is it? What do we say?
I respect your decision.
I respect your decision. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be a part of that decision.
Decisions with an X.
Oh, right, because it's multiples. But no, that's real, Tiff. Because what I was going to say was, for me, the question more like is how many children and how many baby mamas? Right? Yes. So I feel like that data is accurate, because if you're talking to people or the people who are looking at your information, right, your demographics are 30 and above. When we're talking about dating, it is to be expected, unfortunately. Yeah. I will say that the last 2 men that I dated, surprisingly, had no children. And for that, I was thankful. I was very thankful because I like my time in my space, but I also like spending time in space with you. And so children alter your availability. And then my work schedule alters mine. So there are times where I'm gone for a week, 2 weeks, a month at a time. And so you have the kids on weekends, so you can't even come down when you're off work to come spend some time with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, whole thing. But I think that it really matters who and why, right? Because if you have a child, okay, sure, life be life and life happens. But the way in which you speak about the mother of your child or of your children is paramount for me. Because I'm also very clear up front, like I am looking to be married and have children.
Facts. Yep.
And so the way in which you function in this family that you created, knowingly or unknowingly, planned or not, then also send some different observations and things that I need to consider. Mm-hmm. Because just because you didn't marry her doesn't mean that you get to disrespect her. A dude that I was having a casual conversation with, just trying to like get to know each other, feel each other out before we even went on a first date. Mother's Day was coming up. It was just a couple weeks ago. Mother's Day was coming up. And he said something to the... Well, Mother's Day was last week, but like him and I had a conversation.
Oh, okay. I must feel it was literally like 3 days ago. Very recent.
No, like we had the conversation a couple weeks ago.
All Jasmine scenarios is super recent. So you're like, she out here.
I got out of a 2-year relationship. We collecting data. Data.
What is a relationship?
At the beginning, she said, She said, I don't got no time to waste. She said that at the very beginning.
Hello? It is official.
Dusty, okay? I'm in the club.
But no, like he had 2 kids, 2 different mothers. Both of them were in one was a young adult and one was in their teenage years. Okay. Cool. You had children young when you were in the streets, living a different life. I get it. And he said something. I said, so how are you celebrating the mothers of your children for Mother's Day? And he was like, I'm going to send both of them some money. He said, and my son had picked out a gift for his mom that he wanted to get her, but doesn't have the funds. So I'm going to buy it and it'll be from my son. And he was like, and I guess he's encountered women who aren't like healthy or understanding. He said, and if that's a problem for you, right? Like there was no pause, there was no breath. He said, and if that's a problem for you, then that's not going to work because they are the mother of my children. Like I respect them for who they are. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh no, I feel like that is a very responsible, immature thing to do. Yeah. Right? He was like, yeah. He was like, I'm going to send a cash app. I didn't send a card. And I'm going to tell him what it's for. So I think one, he said it was for like a spa day. Cool. She stressed out with your son with all the activities in a whole nother state. I get that. I respect that. I can work with that. But then on the other side, if he was like, oh, nothing, like she got the child, it is what it is. Like that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just think that hey Brennan, you have put that up several times.
This is time number 4.
Did you say it again? Like, is that new?
No, Gabrielle said that at the start of this conversation.
Situations that Tiff ain't in no situationships, child. I've been chilling.
No, I will say I think that it takes on both sides, whether you're a woman or a man. I think it takes like a mad amount of security. I think those are the relationships that you really do have to take time to work through, because I do think there's listen, you were talking about I mean on any side, when there's a child involved, there's always a connection between those people. And I think you have to be sure what that connection is. I'll be very honest, like my youngins, when I take them under my wing, I am very clear with people. I don't think that you should just trust people very easily. And only because, listen, oh man, I hate to put them out there. I'm not gonna put I got some family and friends that I see what the other side of things can be. You know what I mean? That they got kids, but they could be dating somebody and there's still some stuff going on somewhere. And I think you have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I'm very open to that. If you got kids, I think that's amazing. And I think that I think people who are open to dating, and I am open to dating someone with kids, but I think you have to be very, your intent has got to be up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you got to really be very sure about what that relationship looks like, because so often there is still a tie that you just got to know the current. What's the undercurrent of what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, there's always going to be a tie in those situations. Like, because of, the child and what you all brought into the world. So there's always going to be a tie. But it's like, for me, it's like, what's the context of that tie? Because and so, like, again, when I was in these streets, I went through a whole unhealthy phase where I was like, you know what? I ain't dating nobody with no kids. And I went so far to say I wasn't even going to date like someone who had sex before. And that was probably like some of the worst dating times of my life. Not the individuals. They were beautiful individuals, but it was, for me, a struggle. Because then, like, I wasn't in a place, I wasn't in a healthy place to really like engage the relationships in a proper way. I was more looking not to be hurt than actually looking to engage with someone in a healthy manner. And so that was that. And it was from kind of like, again, not addressing my own traumas and having a situation before where it was like, the baby daddy drama and all that stuff, and not wanting to go through that again. And so that's where it's like, it like definitely being in a place where you are mature enough to understand the complexities of adult relationships and past relationships, and being able to communicate, kind of even some of your fears or understandings or some of your traumas in the past, and being in a place in a relationship with the person or the situationship or, whatever, dating, where y'all can have that conversation and it be a healthy one, versus just kind of outright making a decision of, no, I'm not dating somebody with kids, or like, doing what I did, basically.
Yeah. So we do have one more question that I asked people. Now this is the tough one right here. It
it's easy.
Our last question was, and this is crazy. Sex before marriage, and the two answers they could give was knowing before is but better than finding out after. And another one is nope, no ringy, no zingy. And so it's interesting because 38% said nope, no ringy, no zingy, but 62% of folks said knowing how the sex is before is better than finding out how the sex is afterwards.
Brennan is giving a hard nod.
Yeah.
Because it's just like I said, this ain't a hard one for me. Like, and I I think just from the standpoint of like similar to like living with the person, like you got to know if the chemistry is there. And I know that might not be the most Christian thing to say, but like it could. I would 100% hate to have married my wife and then understand that we didn't really have sexual chemistry. And even because I think it's even a difference in being attracted to someone and being able to find that like those special moments of sexual energy, and it's like, oh man, I don't even know. Yeah, nah, I'm yeah, I couldn't. I don't know if I could do it without it.
But before y'all answer, does anybody watch Harlem?
Yes.
Yes.
You say Harlem?
Harlem, yeah.
Yes.
So this, I don't. If you watch, like, I haven't watched all of season 2, but like this question, as people started to answer, it made me think about the girl on Harlem who's like always having sex, and like I don't know if y'all remember when she got with the guy who has the mansion, and like she was like
yeah.
I
remember that episode. And it was
like
terrible.
he got it all, but then the sex was like real bad, and she like tried to stay with him, but she was like his cockiness just couldn't. And this, I don't know why, but this whole like conversation made me think about that whole scenario. Like, yo, like I don't know. Yeah, I just Brendan, I appreciate your answer, man. I don't know if any of you want to answer this as well. You don't have to.
I'm fine with answering. I think that you stick to your convictions.
That's the exact same thing, actually.
Everyone's convictions are different.
Mm-hmm.
And people's convictions change with time and experience.
Yeah.
And so stick with your conviction, whatever that is. Whatever that is. However, I do think that there are, to Brennan's point, I think that there are ways to gauge physical intimacy and the potential of it without like actually partaking in any sort of sexual activity. I think that there are ways to do that. I've been looking at this like couples yoga class, right? I enjoy yoga. I have undergrad degree in dance, so I'm gonna always go for the movement-based thing.
Oh.
But I think that touching someone, a simple hand touch, right? Along with like normal everyday movements and motions, right? There's a lot that can be said for that, and knowing if that chemistry is there and available.
Yep. My decision too. So I'm gonna go with Jasmine because she and I both studied movement just differently. So my undergraduate degree is in sports medicine. So from a more nuclear biological level, that connected to what I believe theologically frames my choice to refrain from sex before marriage. One, I trust God with my sex life. So I believe that when it's time, it's going to hit.
It's going to
hit, right?
It's going to hit, sis.
But for me, what it is, it's about that finding that intimacy that's not rested or balanced on the crux of our sexual life. Can I have a conversation with you? Because the reality is me understanding the body and understanding how it changes over time. Your drive today might not be the same next week. So if we're basing our entire relationship off of a sexual experience, knowing how often it can shift in balance, and I can't have a conversation with you, knowing how, but it's also back to what Jasmine said. There's a way that we can tell that chemistry without actually having to engage, like how your eyes respond, right? How your nerve receptors shoot off, what you experience just from holding hands, from touching, from hugging, and things like that gives you a lot of data. And I wish the church would embrace science a lot more because our body sends out so much data every millisecond to let us know what is actually happening and going on. For me, it's the molecular biological level. So one thing my best friend always says is it's really easy for you. It's a lot easier for you to disconnect from someone you're not going to be with because you don't engage in sexual activity. So there's nothing else connecting me there. Not to say that it's easier, because if I really rock with you, then of course it's gonna be like, dang, ooh. But because we haven't engaged on, we haven't gone any further in terms of that biological molecular signal sending back and forth, it's a lot easier for me to be able to move on than for some and other people. Because I've heard people, like, let's be honest, I got some friends that's been like, yo, the sex is mad good. I know they're not good for me, but they mad. And I'm just sitting here like, and that's why you're caught in this cycle, because you balanced it on something that is ever constantly changing. But yet you cannot have a conversation with this person without getting in a fight. So what you're saying to me is y'all having sex 9 to 5 every hour on an hour when you gotta go to work. She gotta go to work. Like, how is that working? So that is what determines my decision. But also, again, the both and, right? Like, you gotta stick to your convictions. That's mine.
Yeah.
I want to chime into that also. I agree with the ladies. It is a conviction. It's definitely a conviction. And there's some people who are okay with it, some people who are not. And I think, like, if you do anything that doesn't really, like, if you're in a place where you're being pressured or something, like, that's not a good space. And if you're with someone that's not compatible with you, that's not a good space. Like, you gotta be with whoever you know. If that person respects your boundaries, like, be with that person. If the person doesn't, that's not a good that's not a good person for you. So you definitely gotta stick with your convictions. I also actually studied dance, so I get the whole like the physical part of it, physical touch and things like that. And I will say, like, in terms of attraction and chemistry, like, you can definitely tell a lot before having sex with someone. Like, if you don't like kissing that person, that is pretty clear.
You don't need nothing now. Let me tell you, these days it be a hug that let me know this this ain't gonna work. This one little hug.
You can tell. If you don't want to keep doing it, like, that's not the person for you.
The way he hugs. I feel like, ooh, I do not like this hug.
Yes, if you don't like them touching you, like, okay.
Like, if you feel gross, like, oh, he want to hold my hand, like that. I've had a scenario where I'm like, oh, he just want to hold my hand and do stuff. No, I don't like this man. Let's just
exactly.
I don't like this man. Don't touch me. Just sit over there.
Yes, you can tell pretty quick.
It ain't hard. It ain't.
It's not there.
I agree with y'all. I will say, I think, like, so I don't think the church in its current form does enough. I know, Tiff, you talked about the science, but I really don't think we embrace sexuality enough at all.
We do not.
You know what I'm saying?
If you think about it, that's a fact, my friend.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate that. Yeah, like, I think honestly, the church probably needs to get a little more comfortable with even embracing and talking about it.
Yes.
Because I think honestly, my question is, I don't think we are taught to know ourselves sexually enough, first of all. So I think before we even start to indulge with other folks, we got to know about who we are sexually, right? And that doesn't mean go have sex with somebody. I mean, like, what are the how do I like to be touched? How do I like to express myself mentally with somebody? This sounds crazy, but I believe, right, even in I believe you can have a very euphoric experience mentally. You know, I think before we start touching, I should be able to woo you, if you will, right? Like, with how we talk, with how we interact. So I think there's just a lot of that doesn't get discussed on a faith-based level that I think we don't delve into enough. You know what I mean? And to hear you all talk about dance, like, I think even in that, I think how we express ourselves is a form of our sexuality. And I think that we're not in touch with that, right? So again, to y'all point, I think whatever conviction you kind of flow in, I'm not one to say you just should not have sex before marriage, but I'm also one not to say you need to go and do it. I do think, though, that you need to explore sexuality in its whole. and figure out what does that even look like. You know what I'm saying? Because I think what happens is we walk into these immature sort of sexual relationships, right? And so like, oh, like the straight intercourse is how I judge it. Oh, if she's not good, if she's not this, and they don't know this position, but there's so much more to sex than just the intercourse part of it. And I think we don't talk about that enough. It's so taboo that folks just walk into immature sexual relationships and they think that's all that it is, right? And since they don't talk about it, right? And I think we disguise that, we hide some of that even under like this whole masculine and feminine thing. Like it's not, you're not masculine enough if you're sitting there talking about, you know, other forms of sex other than getting head or whatever, right? But I think we got as men even embrace that. Hey, nah, like let's talk about it. Like there's some things that you need to know before you go all the way. Let's talk about just holding a hand. Let's just talk about what it feels like to hug somebody and be okay with a long embrace, right? And I think that's just, I don't know. I just feel like there's more to sex that we just don't really dig into as people.
First, we got to acknowledge, I think before we even get there, we just got to acknowledge that it's a natural part of ourselves. Like, we got to acknowledge that sex is human.
Yeah.
We cannot we have chemical hormones in our body that literally we can't, like our bodies respond in very sexual ways every single day, right? So I think that's the first thing. We got to acknowledge that that's a natural part of just our beings as humans. How we feel, how we process, how we emotion. That is natural. And the church tries to have people like, no, you got to push down the urge. I got to push down my hormones.
Yeah.
That's telling me that this is how I feel as my body is continuously growing and navigating through this life. That's sensory. What you want me to paralyze my senses? Like you want me to paralyze?
Yes, they do.
Right, basically.
Yes, and they do.
It's like the church. It just be so weird sometimes.
Yeah,
like, I think that's my conclusion. Like it just be so
weird.
Like, we gotta accept that that's what that's how our bodies react. Like, and it's okay. It's okay. It has to be okay. You got people literally miserable because they're like, ooh, I feel this way. I feel this way. I feel horny. I feel horny. I can't feel this way.
Yeah.
What? That's what your body naturally does. And depending on how people identify every month. And
yeah. But no, I think because I was going to make a comment. So I'm glad you said that, Tiffany, right? I think that the church is double-minded in how we think about our flesh, right? We want to tell people to die to your flesh daily. And there's something to be said about that. But we also want to celebrate that Jesus Christ came down and then was enclosed in flesh. But we don't want to talk about the things that happened while he was in flesh. That he had a very much human experience that we have to this very day. And so for me, it's problematic because we want to worry about people's spirits and their souls, but not worry about their flesh, not worry about how it's handled, mishandled, viewed, abused. We don't want to talk about those things, and it's problematic all the way around because it doesn't allow for people to bring their whole selves into religious spaces and actually be.
Mm-hmm. And I real quick, I want to be clear. Like I ain't too short out here. Like I ain't, we ain't just finessing everything moving or finessing everything we talking to. I'm a 30-year-old man or 30-plus-year-old man with, single digit numbers of partners. But it's like I definitely and I think part of my struggle kind of with sexuality was just the lack of I don't want to say mentorship, but just like instruction and dialogue around it from the church. Like I grew up in church, and it was always like, even sometimes where like I felt attraction to someone, or like, my body would respond in a certain way, and instantly my mind went to, oh, that's lust. And it's like, no, that's not the case for real. Like it could, like some of this is just natural and something that like sometimes you can't control. It happens because someone touches you in a way and you really like how that touch felt. Like, or you have a conversation with somebody and it goes somewhere and you really like the direction that conversation is going. It don't necessarily mean that like you have to have sex with that person or you have to have a sexual experience with that person, but it's like that's a natural response, and understanding like who you are and how your body responds to some things. One, it helps you in the long run to understand, you know, how you will engage with your partner, and what types of touches you like versus other ones. Because, and I mean, it's a part of the process, and something that definitely the church should do more around, with just education, and conversation and dialogue. One, so that we can help to avoid some of the mistakes that we made when it comes to sex, and really help to avoid some of the traumas that have come from our like lack of dialogue around sex and things like that. So it's definitely a conversation to be had around it, and something that everybody should explore in whatever way you feel is safe, in whatever way you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I would say, yeah, like there's so much, I feel like at least if you're going to traditional church, there's so much guilt and shame kind of wrapped around sex. So it was hard to talk about because people were like, what's a shameful thing to think about? It's only after marriage. We don't talk about it before marriage. But then you have all these people who are entering, if that's what you were doing, entering into marriage, and they don't have a clue of what's going on or how to do anything, and like they make it scarier or whatever it is, and it's not supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be loving, like a really good, like a good experience. And if we had not built that context around it and just said, look, this is natural, it's beautiful, it's something that God created, it is real, it is something that's there, and we just talked about it openly without being like, nope, we don't talk about that, that's under the, in the closet somewhere, that's no one touches that. We had just been open in the beginning, that would have helped a lot of things. And there's a lot about sex that people don't really know. Like I can think about a conversation I had with someone, I'm trying to get too much information. They were like, yeah, someone didn't tell me that that's how you do that. And I'm just like, if someone had just like had the conversation, like, here is the method of how this works, like that would have avoided that awkward like moment for them.
And we also have to like also have the conversation too, because I think in a lot of Christendom, we have framed sex. In some spaces, it's like pleasure is wrong.
Yeah.
Now, let me draw back. I do believe that there is an appropriateness in context and structure in which we engage in certain activities. For me particularly, I believe that I am of the mind of sex, no sex for me before marriage, right? Put that to the side. But for me, we haven't taught that sex can also be a space of exploration and fun. You just got to do it to have kids and move on with your life. No. Also, sex is pleasurable and it does feel good, right? Let's be honest, right? So I think also like a lot of Christian spaces talk about it as if it's this scary, like you were saying, Debbie, like this is scary, fearful thing. And like as if it can't be something, depending on what you believe, that you explore with your partner and you figure out what works and what doesn't work. It's like a dance, right? Like, okay, you do this, I do this. I like this, I don't like this. Can you do this? You lead here, you do that. I think sex can be a wonderful space for learning and growing together and having fun. Like we see movies where they're like two people, one night stand, they figure it out what works best for them and they're laughing through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why can't it be an enjoyable? Why does it only have to be in some spaces for procreation? Like, it's very weird and strange to me. It's like, no, we things feel good, okay? And so I want it to feel good all the time, okay? Yep. And so it got to be a space of fun and exploration. Like sex can be a learning space for you and whomever you're with in whatever context you're engaging in. And I think the church has to be able to but back to what Brennan said, a lot of people teaching about this has their own trauma unhealed that they haven't dealt with yet. And I wish that sometimes the church would actually walk in humility and be honest and say, look, I don't know. I don't have the answers, but we're going to find it out together, or we know these people who can explain it to us, and let's grow together. But a lot of it is about generational, untapped, unhealed, rooted trauma regarding sex and things like that causes us to come into church spaces and not be able to accurately, talk about it.
But I think
and to that point, even like it's crazy because like you can like what you were saying, Tiffany, like when as you grow and as your body changes and things like that, like sex and intimacy has to be an exploration, because like what worked at the beginning might not work 5 years down the line. And then it's like, okay, well, how do we continue to have fun doing this? How do we continue to enjoy each other doing this? We can't do what we did at the beginning because that's not working. Like we're not having fun, or we're not having the same experience doing that. And if you don't take the time to like look at, intimacy and sex and all of that through the lens of like, this is an exploration with my life partner and someone that I want to share these experiences with, like you get stuck in situations where you just like, you don't like sex anymore, or like it's not enjoyable for one person, and the one person is having a great time but somebody else isn't, and now their needs aren't being met through this experience that's supposed to be a cooperative enjoyment and a cooperative experience.
I think to your point, like I was thinking like that. I think for me, that's just communication. But I think that's the place that we aren't starting with, right? Like even in the church, we're not communicating about it. I was just thinking like we're talking about it right now in this setting, but you're right. Growing up in traditional church, it's weird because it's like everybody's like, no, that's bad. That's bad. But that they doing it. You know what I'm saying? You're like, but it's
I'm
bad.
here because of it. What do you mean?
You know what I'm saying? Like you definitely did this to have me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of little folks running around here. You mean everybody chose to do the bad stuff? Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like that don't make sense.
Right.
Everybody repented that next day, huh? Right.
Was I saying not what I do?
Lord.
Yeah.
You finished and was like, oh my God, please forgive me. No, you didn't do that. You had fun. You enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it's just communication, because I think even when to your point, Brendan, like it's even with your partner, right? Like even be able to say, like, because I think for us, especially even with men, especially I think in sex, like I think you think, all right, the first time I got to get this right. There is no way I can't run the risk of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm just trying to keep it real. Like, you can't run the risk of I couldn't get it up.
That's so true.
It was too quick.
So true.
I ain't in the right position. Like, you can't run that risk as a man. Like, that's your whole man card down the drain. The moment that you ain't get it right, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to like somebody
His
like
body.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's your pride is crushed. The next day she go to school and she like,
yo, real quick. So me and Kathy, my wife, our first sexual experience was trash. And I promise you, I text the homies afterwards and was like, fam, it's probably fine. I said, like not right after, but like a couple days later, they was like, yo, how was your weekend? I was like, fam, it's probably dead. I ain't even gonna it didn't go the way. But like, 7 years later, we married. Been married for about to be 6 years. So it's like it's not like the all end all be all indicator of whether or not you'll have a great experience, but it's like you really have to look at it as a learning experience, because you're learning this person's body and this person's touches as well. It's not just about you and what you feel, but it's also like, how am I being attentive to how they feel? How am I being attentive to their experience and the experiences that they like to have? So it's like, it's a dance. It ain't science. It's really a dance.
It is.
Yeah. I think at some point, Brendan, that's gonna be one of our off ones. We talk about having a well off, like midnight well, whatever. That's gonna be our conversation right there. It's gonna be about sex. You know what I mean? Like
Well after dark.
yeah, well after dark. Lord, we put the whole little thing up there. If you got kids, put them to bed. It's well after dark. You know what I'm saying? Listen, the well pushes the envelope, baby. Listen, this is a conversation. There's so much further we could go, but I do want to be mindful. Like, we have definitely gone over our time, but it got real juicy there at the end. No pun intended. But
that's the worship and praise, right? That's
the worship and praise got really intense. Listen, y'all, if you enjoy this, please make sure that you, like I said at the beginning, follow us on everywhere that you can at Encounter the Well, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We love to interact with people. We'll be interacting with you all throughout the month. June is going to be amazing as well. Listen, also Summer of Love, or Summer of Relationships. Listen, I have an announcement I want to make probably in June to let you guys know about some musical endeavors I'm dealing with that's really running right alongside this right here. Got some folks that are putting out some major stuff that I'm with, that I'm partnered up with. So I definitely want to talk about that. June 15th, we're going to talk about it, but we've got a brunch coming up that we want to invite everybody to. So we're going to be talking about that over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fantastic. We got some elected officials coming, but we're going to have some good conversation, some good food. It's going to be dope. So June 15th, Saturday, June 15th, put it on your calendar. Also, if you want to give to the well, be upon one of our partners in finances, hey, feel free to do that. At text the numbers 84321, any dollar amount, and it'll guide you through. Or you can go to our website, encounterthewell.org/give. We want to partner up. We're partnering with so many different people. Y'all, there's so much stuff coming your way this summer that the Well is going to be sponsoring and partnering with the community on. It's going to be dope, and you do not want to miss it. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. I want to thank Reverend Jay, Reverend Tiff, Debbie. Just, oh my God, this has been amazing. One of our most funnest Wells encounters to this date. Reverend Jones, how can they follow you, or if not follow you, where can they catch you in ministry?
So you can follow me at Jasmine MD Jones on every social media platform. I am who I am no matter where I am. So that's where you can find me, how you can find me in ministry endeavors. I don't know. You can catch me in Baltimore at Empowerment Temple. You can catch me in Atlanta at Trinity AME Church in Southwest Atlanta. Or you can catch me in Chicagoland at DuPage AME in Lisle.
Love that. Love that. Reverend Tiffany. What'd you say?
No, I said she all over. She out here. You know?
I'm worldwide. That's what Candy Bird said.
That's it. Reverend Tiffany, where is there any way we can catch up with you, follow you, or just find you if you're preaching, whatever that might look like? What does that look like?
Man, I'm still figuring it out. But what people can do is on Instagram, in my bio, I have a Linktree link. People could catch me there, but you gotta know what my Instagram name is to be able to do that. My Instagram name is Sophistafunk, spelled SOFISTAPHUNK. And like I said, in that bio, I pop up. It says Reverend Tiff, Jamaican flag, New York, Statue of Liberty. Click that Linktree, and it tells you all you need to know about me and how to get in contact.
And Tiff, if you want to share that with us too, your Linktree, we can post that for folks as well on our stuff, so that if they want to follow or find, if you're preaching or whatever you put on your Linktree, we can share that with people as well.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. And then in my spare time, sometimes I am at Kingdom Fellowship AME Church in Calverton, Maryland.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Debbie, I know you got some film festivals probably still in the works, but is there a way that folks can, if they want to see the film or if they want to support you, what is the best way to do that?
Yes, so I have a Facebook page for the film. The title of the film is It's Still Not About Me. So that's on Facebook. That's public. So people can go on there and see any updates that I've made for the past year. So that's all there. I'm also personally on Facebook, just Debbie Camper. However, because I like to avoid the weird stalker people, Ramon, you know, you just talked about this. You have to DM me first, and then I will friend you back.
You know, that's smart, Debbie. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that is smart. That is absolutely smart.
Like,
So
let me
listen,
know where
guys,
you're from first. Like, let me know where you met me at. Like,
Saw me
when
at, right.
Exactly. Yeah,
Just pop up.
you gotta message me first, and then I'll think about friending you.
ASL. Okay.
And then I'm on LinkedIn as well, and Debbie Camper Professional.
And don't be weird and send like I know you because I love you with the love of Christ. Nah,
You don't
getting
even
blocked.
I'm on Linktree as well. That's smart. That was a good one, Debbie. I'm on Linktree. Tiffany Brooks. Talk about you love me with the love of Jesus Christ. You don't even know me.
Hey, listen, guys. As we shut down, hey, to our panelists, don't leave just yet. But to all of our Wellians out there, listen, thank you for being with us. This has been amazing. We will see you next week. And until then, we love you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. Peace out.